Hello YouTube and welcome back to the channel here today. Today we're here for the finale of Mushishi, the final special here. It's called Bell Droplets and we're very excited to see how this thing even wraps up. So before anything else, I went for my run this morning. Started to rain, still raining now. Smell of petrichor in the air, got me in the mood for some Mushishi. I just think that's just apt. I was very happy about that. As a result, it's also a little bit cooler, so I shouldn't be absolutely losing my mind in here with the heat, which is another welcome change. Seems that it's all set up for me to watch this double-length episode, I believe it is, and see how the hell this thing wraps up, like I said before. How do you even do that? You may have heard this before. Mushishi is an episodic show. It doesn't have a lot of contiguous narrative stuff. Obviously, the through line between all the episodes is Ginkgo, but to what end? How does a story end? The show's thesis, you would say, is that it continues. In perpetuity, life goes on. How do we close the door? How do we close this chapter without kind of undermining that premise? How can we achieve finality and still be true to what Mushishi is about? It'd be interesting to find out. Like I said, there's a few contiguous story things, serialized storytelling things that have been going on through the show. I would imagine that we hit them back up. So we've been alluding to this forbidden Mushi, and that's been in with Tanyu's story, Tanyu Karibusa there, of course, and that kind of fed into the Path of Thorns stuff that we had earlier on, and there's obviously kind of like the Nui Ginkgo stuff too, so how does that all come together, I guess? I don't know. Are we going to find and defeat something that is seemingly insurmountable? Time will tell. I don't know. I really don't know. What I do know is that I have one Patreon comment here from Matthew Brancher. In episode 21, the Mushi disease thing also reads to me as this effect of a death that wasn't supposed to happen. So after Yuri's death here, it doesn't happen, because that death is an accident pretty much. There's no intention there, as opposed to the father's death, which was an intentional murder, so it creates this kind of weird kind of grief. It kind of reads into, I guess, the severity and the motive behind the killing, and judges accordingly. Like, yeah, that's definitely an interesting lens to look at the episode through. Like, what is the difference between the deaths there and the effects thereafter? Why is there this permanent lasting, staying thing on the murderer? And 22, just one of my favorite episodes of any anime ever, probably. Like that thesis statement of the whole show, reflecting on the goal in creating it and telling these stories so that they may live on in us. I find it quite inspiring, almost like telling us to now go and become storytellers in our own ways. It definitely was very uplifting, which I enjoyed, especially after recent episodes have been kind of downers, which is fine. We expect that. But yeah, it came together really well. I'm unsure we'll end up with me and, you know, the whole Mushishi ranking type thing that I'm probably going to do at the end here. But yeah, very good. It achieved its goal, you would say. And yeah, Mushishi, unique in casting a lot of zero experience voice actors, particularly for the kids. I think it gives it a layer of authenticity that I really think, you know, enhances the show. Like, just brings everything up. I feel like I'm there, you know. And with that, we'll leave the YouTube comments. We'll jump over to the Patreon, who I forgot to shout out in Musume this week, which was bad. So I'll remember this time. It's a little bit kind of null and void at the moment because there's no more Mushishi for me to shill. Like, we're done here. But I would kind of implore you to have a gander if you're not already a patron. I am doing movies. I've kind of picked out 5. I'm going to do them in whatever order I see fit. Maybe I'll spin a wheel, maybe I won't. I've chosen them, but hopefully they're things that people will like. Maybe it's something that you like. Just have a look. You never know. That, as well as Ping Pong the Animation and Musume. If you're into those, then check out the Patreon as well. It's all there. A very big thank you to Sean, Ace Lightning, AJ, Akamancer, Alchemy, Astifif, Bananarama Hamadama-sama, Botero, Brendan M. Gibbons, Brett Jones, Capella, Choberibi, Copley, Cure Dynamic, Dakota, Dapper Dwarf, Diark Lord, Doke Hyo, Ed, Eric Algelius, Fancy Question Mark, Fried Rice, Fruit, Gloriana Tenebrae, Glyke, Hans Peter, I. Bailey, Ika, Iria, Jay, Jaakko Yavanen, Jacob R., Jeff Solis, Joran, Kasogtha, Clem, Lexi, Lick H, Lou, Lupe Ferrugia, Maddock the Doppelganger, Matthew Bratcher, Matthew Mortlock, Mickey Babbers, Miru, Mistake L. Chen, Molly Weinberger, Mr. Maniacs, Nature Without Man, Pencil Sharp 333, Pike, Rex15M, St. Lily, Sam1373, Samuel Guerrero, SGM Janus, Shiny Haxorus, Skeleton, Tentacle Member, Terrence, Tobias Dal Christensen, Waifu Overdose Without a Net, Binchi, Jummy Boo, Kelvin, Ron Lad BNK, BD422, Eclipsing, Fluffy, Free Weekend, and Ren. Thank you very much for giving me money. I enjoy the money. And yeah, we'll see how this thing wraps up. I've kind of already talked about some expectations there. You'd imagine it's big picturesque. I wouldn't be surprised if Ginkgo was to cark it, but obviously there'll be a bit more of a like life goes on type bend to it. Maybe he sacrifices himself. Just putting it out there, could be a thing, could be a direction we go. But he would need to continue to live on some other way. It's hard to say. It is hard to say. Either way, I'll get that episode up now. I believe it's called Bell Droplets. It's a special. It's like the last thing. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about there. And yeah, let's watch. Let's go. And there we have it. The finale of Mushishi there. The next chapter. Bell Droplets or whatever it was called. 47 minutes and 7 seconds on this one. Sync up accordingly with your own copy. I have the ARC version. It has the Dekinai subs. If this is relevant to you, it is. If not, there's a picture-in-picture version in the description below. Let's give this thing a 3, 2, 1. Radio, 3, 2, 1, go. Book. Movie? Now, once again, it did say movie. Yeah, Kodansha. Sure. Aniplex? Immediate questions about how this thing was distributed that I'll find out in the aftermath, I'm sure. Looks like Mushishi. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's kind of calming. A little bit creepy. But calming. Somebody's giving me like cicadas or something, or like crickets. Bunch of little bugs making noise. Interesting. Bell drops. I've seen drops of bell, I've seen bell droplets, I've seen... Anyway. Lots of different ways to translate that, I guess. 10 months later, my little sister was born. Mm-hmm. Can't say I expected that. Baby's got my hairline, too. Oh, very familiar. They most certainly do. Most of them are pretty chill. Moosh. Thank you. Ah, end opening. I'm surprised about that. Because here's the thing. It says movie. It's kind of just 2 episodes next to each other. 47 minutes. You had that little intro plus an opening. It's not a lot of time. That's all I'm trying to say. But it seemed like the mountain was celebrating. 10 months later would be, you would say, just about conception to birth for a child. Seems like it's linked. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out. It's already implied, but, you know, it's good that it's all just out there. Alright, let's shiver one last time, too. I'm recording. Yes. Good. It's good to check. Thank you for that rendition. Mountains again. Yeah, there's that guy. Huh. Shows good backgrounds. Lord of the Mountain. Oh. Hello. That might be our little sister all grown up, maybe. And she's fucking Naruto, apparently, too. What do you know? Does he know things? Let's find out. Ooh. Dude, the backgrounds are hard carrying. They're very good. I feel like we've seen a lot of these little hand dealies before. It's like they were sapping her energy. But she was also letting them do it. She kind of reminds me of the swamp girl from the very start of the show. It's a nutritious potion. Yeah. That was my next thing too. Plant scar on the head. Definitely got some power. This is the brother? Hello. Yeah. She's out there. You gotta give me more than that. But how long ago was it? Can you give me that at least? Yes, like a Lord of the Mountain. Mm-hmm. Kaya. Yoshiro and Kaya. She's kind of funny looking. Yeah, she's fucking plugged in. She's tapped in. I guess she likes that though. She knows the way. I'm telling you, she knows some shit about the mountain. For some reason. Come on. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Hmm. Because you can't see the fucking... all the little hands. Yum. Whoa. He's a very nice big brother. Oh. And this is that point, is it? It's like she took off on the wind. Yeah, right. So it has been quite a long time. So you're pretty sure she's still out there. Well, it's been like years. What's it been, like 6 years or something? Maybe? Well, he just came out and said it. Well, this just explains everything. Your lives will be ruined. You've come on a little bit strong there, Ginkgo. That's okay. Sometimes you've got to be stern, but actions and consequences. That's all I'll say. Yeah, it's very obviously a split between, like, her Mushi role and her humanity. It feels like she's toing and froing too far in either direction. That's a very cool way to sub that. Very well done. Because he's not wrong. You'd have to be in denial. See, not correct, but what she's doing right now isn't correct either. Can you do both? It's hard to say. Sup again. Follow? I'll show you where the herbs are. Yeah, the branches are moving to her as well. I don't think so. See, that's not good. I don't like that. What, the mountain or us? Interesting. Yeah, I think you're in trouble. Unless there's some help. Don't shoot the wolves. Oof. Because Boss Man told him to fuck off. There you go. That's her, alright. You didn't hit her, did you? With your gun? Fucking stormtrooper aim. That face on Ginka's so funny. He's like, don't tell me. Let's say the gun backfired or something. Sure. Like it flew off in a weird direction. Oh. Oh, and then she fell? Okay, that's fine then. She always did like the rice cakes. Oh, and the smell, man. Love that. Well... So... What happens if the mountain guardian just goes down to the village for a bit? Oh, shit. Yeah, it's actions and consequences though, right? Ginkgo's just mulling around too. He doesn't know what's going on. There you go. There's your confirmation. But what's Ginkgo's leg to stand on here? He can't go up to them and say, "Nah, I got to take your sister back away again for the good of the mountain." Well, but no, but it's my job though. But the greater good, everybody. Yeah, it's like a ethereal glow to a lot of the leaves there, right? Something sinister. We need some goddamn governance on the mountain. Whoa! Trillions of monkeys. This is, like, when I leave work for, like, a week, this is what I come back to, honestly. Oh, it's funny because it's true. This is a great sequence. Yeah, that's my question. Do you sense this too, or what? She's being visited by ring wraiths. What is happening? That looks awesome too. Yeah, and there she goes. What are you doing? Disassociating. Okay. The crescent moon there was a nice touch too. The circle of light. Hmm. Seem to have been working, sure. Hmm. It would be affirming. Yeah, I really like that scene too. It's nice to see a human that has such significance like that. It gives validity to my own humanity. What about when she clocks out? Can she clock out? Why do bad things happen to good people? It's hard to take solace in that, though. I'm very curious about what happens in the rest of this episode. That seems like the moral has been told. I guess the answer can't be a full rejection of your humanity for duty. Like I said before, there's balance, right? That's a sweet touch, though. Huh? See, the moon's cool, huh? You guys get it. You guys are smart. Oh, and a few second thoughts here, too. Some time has passed? Whoa. They're going apeshit again. To a ridiculous level. Oh, and little bro's sick. I see. Almost those cloud formations, snake-like. Sure, that's what you know what that reminds me of. So I think she's still there. She's just fucking struggling. She got a bit of a taste of that humanity. Okay, why the rage bait? It must almost hurt to get that close, you know? Huh. Huh. You've lost it. I mean, that's how it worked with the old man in season 1, right? Well, that and the bells, of course. Well, how do I do that? Kinko says, let me talk to him. Yeah, but now what's happening? Kinko's like, what the fuck? Tangela. Had a little feeling. How does our old boy wriggle his way out of this one? Does he? Interesting. Ordinary human? Excuse you? creepers. Like episode 1. Like that other episode, which I can't think of right now. Huh. Sometimes. Well, but like... I agree in part. Yeah, humans are still living things. They still need to participate in the grand order. Like never ever anywhere? It's actions and consequences. Hmm. Who is this one? Interesting. There you go, huh? Yes. Kaya. Neither did you. As well as a human. Hmm. Well... cease to be myself. That kind of sounds like Ginkgo. Hmm. Well, I mean, I'm happy that Ginkgo didn't fucking die. That's pretty good. Not that he would have died anyway, but you know. Oh, it's very pretty. Bell droplets. What's that color as well? It's that gold. Pure light. Corky. It's just life, my friend. Where is he now, though? It's like, can I leave? Is the job done? Oh. The river. Sup? What do you say? Episode 2. Well, everything's back to normal. Yeah, who's the new lord? Some cool turtle guy, or? You know my number. So yeah, she just became like energy, right? Interesting. Glow deer. Really? Really, really? Little something something at the end there. God, I was just timing things out in my head. I'm like, it's got a little bit of time up our sleeve there. It's an interesting one. Unsure where I fall on it, honestly, and what it's trying to say. It's complicated, I'll give you that. I did like the allusions and the connections back to, like, Ginkgo's origins. Like, that kind of multi-tracked line read there by both Kaya and Nui. Kind of reminds me how both characters there sacrificed themselves, in essence, right? Due to their role, due to what was chosen for them. It's definitely a connection for sure. It basically comes down to, okay, we shouldn't have chosen a human to be a mountain guardian because, you know, of their hearts and how they can be swayed by such things. Okay, we're not going to do that anymore, but still, hey, you need to sacrifice yourself. Something needs to be sacrificed here for things to make sense. Ginkgo goes all self-sacrifice. He wants to jump in and do it himself before Kaya realizes her duty. And again, just, you know, falls to that other side. Which again, if it's like, okay, I'm to sacrifice myself as Ginkgo or some character elsewhere that was chosen, like, I know who I would prefer there, but just like it as a finale for how it talks about humanity as a whole in the grand scheme of Mushishi. Hello, Ginkgo. Do they like the smoke? He's always booking it somewhere, man. And yeah, life goes on. Life goes on. Oh, damn. Yo, that's crazy, actually. That hit like different. Love that at the very end. That's such a gut punch. You expect, like, you know, something like you've seen every other episode, right? There's always that, you know, whatever the next story is. Nothing. We're done. It's very bold. It's very ballsy. I like that. I'll return shortly for some analysis. It's going to be a weird one to talk about. It's a very slow episode, like a lot of Mushishi is. And I feel like a lot of it can be summarized in a few scenes in particular, like diving into those. But in essence, it's a pretty simple story. More simple than some of the other shorter episodes we've had. I think even in comparison to the other two-parters that we've had, like the Day of Black Sun, no, that's not what it's called. You know, the darkness that blinds the... You know what I'm talking about. That one felt like it had a bit more going on, and it was a little bit more all-encompassing, a few more characters there, where, again, this one, very focused. But yeah, we'll talk about it, and we'll have some time to wrap up as well. Some episode rankings there, of course. And we're back. That was the finale of Mushishi, of Season 2, of the entire run. It was chapters 49 and 50 of the manga, if you wanted to know as well, the final little arc there. And I liked it quite a bit. It wasn't what I expected. Pretty obviously, I thought something a bit more serialized involving potentially Adashino and Tanyu and all them would be our final episode. Instead, we went for something a little bit more esoteric and classy, a little less obvious, which, again, I respect. Where does it leave those storylines? I thought that Tanyu's little thing with her mate in the Path of Thorns was still kind of ongoing. There was something Forbidden Mushi. Thought there was something still cooking there. Anyway, let bygones be bygones about it. And yeah, less obvious, more conceptual. So this is a kind of great summary of a lot of the same themes in a lot of the rest of the episodes of Mushishi. It takes forth a lot of concepts from previous episodes as well, i.e. Lords of Mountains, the Komyaku, Corky in general, like similar stuff that you should be familiar with by now. It kind of integrates and synthesizes a lot of that stuff into a relatively simple story at the very end about, what's the difference between humans, compared to all the other living things in the grand spectrum of life that we have in the show. I'm not quite sure I fully agree, but I think the episode's thesis here is that humans differ on the level of heart. Sure, we can get some bug, animal, mushi thing to be the lord of a mountain, right? Because they don't feel the same way that we feel. They are instead just doing their biological function. I think that's a little bit short-sighted. I definitely know that animals care about their family, so that doesn't separate us too much. Who's to say that this turtle or this snake that's born or whatever's going to be the next lord of the mountain doesn't have a family that it wants to go back to as well? At the end of the day, we're all just living things in the world. It was just humanity's kind of decision there to be chosen. I guess they don't run into as many problems emotionally. A lot of, animals and whatnot, their devotion to their family is evolutionary. It's less, again, it's less emotional. Like, I care about my family on some level because I'm supposed to, because it's good for the proliferation of life, but I also care about them based on their personality and the things that they've done for me and the care they've provided me and, the culmination of my experience with them. I guess that's the differentiating factor. And yeah, why we've decided not to make humans lords of mountains in the future. And again, that's Kaya's decision there by the very end. She doesn't want to relinquish her humanity. She would rather die than relinquish it, basically. If me continuing to be lord of the mountain will eventually lead to me discarding this thing that I hold so close and this family that I adore, and will also bring them emotional pain and turmoil and whatever else, then even though it sucks, I guess I gotta sacrifice myself, right? And again, that allows the mountain to go back to normal and everything to be operating correctly, and for my family to prosper. My little brother in my stead, next to my big brother there, just have it a day. They've retained their humanity. They're gonna have a good and fruitful life because I didn't sacrifice mine. That's kind of what we're getting at on that kind of emotional level. Ginkgo stepping in, being all self-sacrificey, he got very invested in this story and the concept of, them coming back together and being a family and stuff, almost to the point where he was willing and able to sacrifice himself. That's an interesting one to unpack. It's almost like Ginkgo sees himself as less than human sometimes. Potentially based on his disposition, potentially based on his past. Maybe he sees this character that has a genuine connection and a chance for a normal life and settling down somewhere and doesn't want to take that away from them in the same way that it's been taken away from himself. He almost sees himself as lesser, I think. And that's why he's okay with sacrificing himself, for the greater good. Before, again, Kaya steps in, sacrifices herself in his stead, and Ginkgo wanders off and continues his little adventures. That's a pretty good little ending for things. As I kind of let in here with, it's a hard show to end because a huge part of it is that life goes on. Like, that's the point of the show in essence, right? So yes, I am happy that we just ended and Ginkgo's going to keep on going on his merry way. There will be adventures in the future. There were probably adventures in the past that we didn't get to see. In that way, who's to say that we don't see Tanyu again? Who's to say we don't see Adashino again? Who's to say that we don't, solve that grander tale going on or whatever else? Something's going to happen. We're just not privy to it. In that way, I think the ending itself is very meta. It reinforces the themes very strongly. I like that. Now, to get a little bit critical, I don't think that this episode and its structure and its placement and its importance quite lived up to the billing. It really just does feel like another episode, probably in a way that the other specials resisted. They felt a little bit more significant to me than the previous two-parters. The simplicity here, you could call it elegant. I call it a little bit bare bones. It's pretty slow going here. There's long stretches of just shots of nature and whatever else. Again, don't dislike it, but for a finale thing, for something that people saw in theaters, as I found out, it seems a little bit light. 47 minutes with, with opening, with ending, with an epilogue that doesn't really tell you much. It's a lot of downtime, for sure. And I think the pacing suffers a little bit. I think you got to do something more significant here to justify 47 minutes, or you gotta, cut it back a little bit and potentially not put it in theaters as a result. But as with a lot of anime, especially these days, going into theaters is how you make your money. So I do sympathize on that level at least a little bit. Like, this is the finale of Mushishi, let's get that audience to actually spend $15 on a ticket or something, you know? The financial side of anime is actually, it's quite interesting. Yeah, where does the boots on ground actual money, actual Blu-ray sales, like where does that come into this stuff rather than it just being broadcast and being popular and whatnot? Is that actually a good business, you know? It's again, I don't want to go on a tangent here, but it's why a lot of times now you see a lot of budget given to gacha game adaptations and stuff like that. It's another way to funnel you into something else, right? Video game adaptations, funnel you into something else, get you to spend money on another different thing. So yeah, point being, stepping all the way back, focusing on Mushishi again, they probably just wanted to recoup some of the stuff that it took to make this show, which is a very, very pretty show. Very, very consistently well animated and whatnot. They just wanted to make some dough. It's fair enough. I think maybe the other limiting factor here is Yoshiro, I believe his name was, the brother. He's just a little bit plain. I don't really feel much for him. Liked Kaya a lot. I think she was great. Just, yeah, he's the only other character besides Ginko and Kaya, and he's just a little bit one note for mine. For me, compare it to any number of the characters that we've had in the last stretch of the season. I don't think that he ranks particularly highly as, you know, what is essentially the main character. But anyway, let's roll back through here. We might do some rankings at the very end. Don't know how much additional I'll have to say. Gonna leave it up to me and my brain, I guess. I don't know. Opening scene here, very pretty, very gentle. The visuals lining up very well with the sound design and the music. The gentle ringing of bells bringing in something new. It almost sounds like the mountain itself is celebrating. It is a coronation. A new lord of the mountain has been chosen. Unfortunately for Yoshiro here, it is his little sister who is born some 10 months later. So again, like celebratory up here, devastation basically back down on the ground level for the human side, right? We have this baby that doesn't really fit in and does weird shit and stuff, you know? Isn't really all that healthy. It's, you know, it swings and roundabouts. It's, you know, levels changing. But the ringing is very pretty. I like how it comes back around at the very end and changes its meaning to something a little bit more somber, you know, as a new, you know, coronation occurs, a new lord is brought in, it also means a death. It also means that somebody else has passed, something which you did not realize now, but becomes all too familiar to you by the very end. And yeah, we get a look here. That's what she looks like. A baby covered in plants, covered in growth. Not even just out of the head anymore. It's kind of fucking everywhere. I guess as you grow up, it becomes more like ingratiated and internal and stuff. This kind of bundle, very similar to the bundle which Ginko holds again during the episode's second half. The vertical slice nature of this episode is really something to note as well. Once again, like many other episodes, we're just dropped into Ginko's story. He is doing something, just wandering around, and something that could have ended in his death, essentially, happens upon him. That's how life goes, you know? And much like the very end, he just continues on in the wake of it. Like, it's perfect as this vertical slice of his life that we just get to see, which again is entirely the point. Now, I did say that this episode here was very similar to TV anime stuff. I do think it's a production value jump, even again from season 2, which already looks amazingly good. It looks incredible. I wouldn't say there's any particular pop-off shots. There's a few, maybe in the second half, but the backgrounds are definitely the star here. Like, this is just gorgeous. And it's not just there for aesthetics, it's not just there for looks. We need to establish that this is the mountain currently operating well. It's operating, like, you know, the mountain guardian, the lord of the mountain, they're doing their job. This will change over the course of the episode, and you know, we'll want to bring this back. Like, that's its purpose. Ginko here feels like he's being watched, and he is correct. This is Kaya. She's the girl from the very start of the episode, of course, and is also the mountain guardian. As soon as he mentions a lord and we start seeing her and we saw the growth coming out of her head, it's like, okay, we're putting 2 and 2 together there, I think. I do like her ability here as well. She like gets spirited away on the wind quite often as like a travel mechanism. It also allows her to make these kind of swift escapes out of, you know, when she's back on that human side, when she's back with her family. We see it twice there, once when she's a child and once when she's been ingratiated back in again. I think now is a good opportunity to talk about it as well. This episode should obviously be talked about in contrast with an episode in Season 1. It's the one about the Lord of the Mountain. It's the one about that boar there that dies, and that gentleman needing to step up into the place of the Guardian in his wake. It ends with the snake on top of the mountain. It's a very, very good episode. It ranked quite highly for me. And that episode's kind of a twist on this, it feels like, right? Where this, obviously, again, she's done nothing wrong. She was chosen as a child to be Lord of the Mountain. Where, again, because of Old Mate's actions in that episode, he is into this role. It's his recompense, And it eventually results in his death too. So, who knows, Point being, it doesn't really end well generally when humans are lords of mountains. Something there just kind of gets in the way. Actually, yeah, now thinking about it, it was something to be with his wife, and then he couldn't be with his partner because he was Lord of the Mountain or something. Anyway, odd. We probably need to go back and have another look. Unfortunately, I've deleted the episode off my hard drive for space, so I can't right now. Anyway, I digress. There's a nice sense of adventure to the episode early as well. I feel like the location is used well, some interesting shots of Ginkgo moving around the space as well, before we find Kaya being, I guess, harvested, her energy sapped, so that the mountain can continue its own governance or something. That's what I'm reading this as. Again, this has happened since she was born. It's just that in Yoshiro's recount of it, he can't see the Mushi. He can't see this happening. Kaya is in a weakened state in the wake of what happened there, and we brew her a nice little potion to regen her HP stat. Very, very cool. As Mushishis do, Ginkgo is just greeting the Lord of the Mountain and seeing how they're going. We've seen this in myriad occasions in the past as Ginkgo's been, moving through. Ginkgo then asks some follow-up questions, obviously because she's a human, so that's a little bit, left to center. And again, when humans are chosen for such a thing, they never really do last long. So I'm just checking up on you. Are you okay? How are your energy levels? And she's very defensive. She's like, no, begone. It's a multi-tracked kind of line read here as well. It kind of feels like she's a little bit more on that monstrous side as opposed to human, you would say. Invoking that supernatural power, that wind, to get out of there, to escape Ginkgo. Not very personable. She's maybe drifting too far over this side before being too far over this side, and it's a to and a fro. It's a back and a forth between her Mushi and human sides that we need to navigate, And in the wake of that, Ginkgo literally says here, I probably shouldn't dig too far deeper into this. It's probably not a good idea. Lo and behold, the next human he sees is her brother and is asking after her. Ginkgo's a compassionate guy. He loves a side quest, so he sits down and hears him out. My little sister, about 14 years old. I haven't seen her in quite some time. And Yoshiro here frames our backstory. So from a very young age, from the moment she was born, she had plants growing out of her head. No matter what we would do, try to cut them off or remove them or whatever else, they would just grow back. This chosen status is not something that we can just be rid of as humans. We cannot make her normal by herself. She's been chosen by a higher power for a explicit purpose, and that higher power is supernatural and all-powerful. It's telling her to leave basically at every opportunity. Often sneak out of the home alone. She's been drawn to where she's supposed to be, to her seat atop the mountain, Like, this stuff is just also very obvious as a metaphor for the to and fro between her two sides. She's drawn to her purpose as the mountain guardian, but she's also pulled back continuously by her family, who just wants her to be a normal kid and have a normal childhood. I love how character design in this as well. It's a halfway point between that prototypical Lord of the Mountain design with the plants out of the head, but they are hidden. They aren't numerous. There's still, normal human hair between it. Notably here, she doesn't have a traditional darker colored hair. Maybe, again, the hair color is a little bit connected to the mountain as well. It's, get a color palette. It's probably not too dissimilar, you would say. And her dead eyes being another indicator too. Like, very serious, very stoic a lot of the time in the eye department. Not a lot of emotion there. Again, is she a thing to keep a thing in control? or is she a human with thoughts, feelings, emotions, everything else? And because Kaya is unreliable, Yoshiro, from his young age, is assigned to her basically. Make sure she doesn't do anything too fucked up. He's almost like her keeper. Kaya's ability does come in handy. She does end up finding a bunch of mushrooms. Based, we like that. As well as when we're lost on the mountain, she gives us some direction. Another thing I liked here is a couple of her faces. So you can kind of see it there between all the VLC fuckery. Just a little bit of a smirk, a little bit of like, oh, I know more than you, I'm going to tell you which way to go, The more obvious one here too, just a little wry smile upon being, praised for finding the mushrooms. That's that humanity, That's my connection with my brother and me liking being praised and stuff. I will say, in comparison to other episodes, this one felt relatively easy to, solve, uncover. It really only gets difficult, if you really even want to call it that, towards the end when Ginkgo goes to the other place and whatnot. I wonder if they did have to, quote-unquote, dumb it down a little bit for a movie audience. Maybe you are going to get a few more people that are just wandering in there, and you feel the need to slowly explain things that should be pretty common knowledge. Because, yeah, Yoshiro here slowly explains, oh, she felt like she had a special, deeper connection to the mountain than anybody else. And she was constantly beckoned to somewhere and had a duty and whatnot. And I'm like, yeah, well, that all tracks. True. I'm just saying it's not helping in the pacing department. Do really like this frame, though. Again, if we're going to talk about our two sides motif we have a lot in the show, you would say that moving over to this role as the Lord is a little bit more grayscale, darker, dimmer, and less vibrant than the rest of everything else. As the mountain is calling me to my duty, we're symbolizing it with that kind of color scheme. It's almost going from, a world of color to a world of only black and white. I'm only something that is function rather than emotion. I'm something that sees the world in black and white as opposed to levels of gray, and in the process lose my humanity. Very, very good job, art department, for getting that across. As I said before, frequently should just be kind of out of it, and then after that should be, sapped of energy. That sounds like what we saw before when she was hooked up. That happened without a layman's knowledge because they're invisible to him. This is the mochi connection as well. Little sweet treat, make you feel better. It's something that'll follow her through. This is a symbol of like the care of my family and humanity in general, And I like what they chose for it, mochi, which is something that involves like a human production element to it. It's not something that can be found naturally. If it's my favorite little snack, I'm not going to be able to have that anymore if I don't have some kind of human connection. It makes it a great symbol later on that they leave out for her as well. It was, one of her favorites, and it's also the reason why she had to go. She held on to that humanity in spite of her role. She was convinced over to this side, in essence. And then, that moment, big gold gust of wind takes her away. Never to be seen again, at least not till, a little bit later on. But what would she be there, like 7 years old, maybe? 6 or 7? I didn't even mean to say that. She's 14 now. It's been years. It's been years that she's been in this role and kind of almost like a wolf child or something. Just kind of living off the land, slumming it up. That's actually maybe an interesting point of comparison. Something like Wolf Children. And again, if you're familiar with the Hosoda film there, definitely has an interesting take on that human kind of nature split by the very end. Yeah, not too dissimilar are the morals there a little bit. So Ginkgo, upon hearing the story and knowing what he knows from his encounter earlier in the episode, basically tells Yoshiro here to give up. She's probably not coming back. She has a special role now. She had to relinquish a lot of humanity to sustain it. I wouldn't hold out hope that, she's going to return and everything's going to be hunky-dory. I think it would be easier for you to just let go of her now. But that's not something that Yoshiro can do. That's that emotional connection that they have. It's not something that can just be discarded. But it makes Ginkgo wistful as well. He longs for this in a lot of ways. It's something that isn't allowed for him to do. He's not allowed to stick around and get these human connections with other people. He's almost jealous of Yoshiro and his devotion here to a little sister. Like, he doesn't have the opportunity to do that. This is fuel for why Ginkgo makes that self-sacrifice type decision later on. Well, if they're fully fledged humans and have a chance for a better life, what am I, Ginkgo, this emotionless freak just wandering around? Who am I to take that from them? I should be the one to step in their place and take the bullet. We leave the conversation with Ginkgo's warning. You know, Kaya's no longer a human. She's not going to be the same person that you once knew, and if you were to pluck her from her role as the foundation of the mountain, then the whole thing would start crumbling, and your lives would be ruined as well if that happens. Humans live off the land. If we fuck up the land, everything else goes to shit as well. I think he's getting like firewood and so forth. No more fucking firewood if, you know, she doesn't do her job. Small thing here, but I like the echo and I like the subbing of it. I think it's very well done. Just, yeah, popping up in all the corners. Brilliant. Absolute cinema. Also, again, Yoshiro here not giving up hope, still calling out for Kaya despite Ginkgo's warnings. Stealing himself. Kaya's still my sister. Nothing more. Nothing less. Specifically this shot of her eating the mochi. Yeah, that's the symbol, right? She's just a little kid. Like, I can't believe Ginkgo's premise, I guess. This here's a fun moment. So Kaya finds Ginkgo again and basically just tracked him down because the potion was good. It's good eats. She wanted more. It kind of is like very childlike. It very like teenager almost. Like she's nonplussed, but she still wants more of the goodies and I don't know. I felt it was a little shred of her humanity even coming through now in that small encounter with Ginkgo. You know, the ability to have a preference for something, the ability to form an opinion on a particular kind of food and have a favorite. And the branches moving to create a path for her is just cool. Goes to show her power on the mountain as well. Ginkgo makes a decision here, which is another interesting one to watch. Like, why did Ginkgo choose to tell Kaya that the brother's still out there and looking for her? It seems that this moment is something of a catalyst. Like, look at her response here, right? Like, that's not the face of somebody that doesn't care, the face of somebody that's fully forgotten about her family and her brother. There's still something deep down inside there that is ticking away that makes you excited at that prospect. That's your humanity, yeah? And Ginkgo doesn't notice this. He continues on to say that, oh, well, you know, you must already be lost to this. It's a lost cause. I shouldn't care about this anymore. But if anything, just mentioning this is probably what leads to her even looking out for the brother and seeing him on the mountain with the wolves, with the gun in the scene that just follows, you know? It kind of, it logically follows that she would care after learning this info. So it's interesting. Why did Ginkgo feel the need to tell her? Maybe he did hold out hope that there still is some human in there. There's a line later on about somebody ceasing to be and becoming a brand new person upon taking on a new role. Isn't that what happened to Ginkgo? You know, maybe he wants to prove that he himself still has some humanity in him. That's why he's checking with you, somebody else that is at least, you know, similar. I think that's a lens for analysis for sure. Like Ginkgo, he knows what's supposed to happen, but maybe he kind of wants some you know, humanity in there, just a little bit. The aforementioned scene happens here with Yoshiro and the wolves. They're stalking him. He gets out his gun like you would do, fires a shot, which just ends up scaring and startling, I guess, Kaya that is watching nearby, falling out of the tree, and then he takes her back to the village. I'm happy that he didn't shoot her. That's good. And I also think it's cool that Kaya has control over the wolves and basically tells them to fuck off. That's all. Hey, she's the fucking alpha. I do what I'm told. But basically over the course of what we see from here is the rejection of Ginkgo's premise. Her humanity hasn't been crushed under the weight of the mountain. It is something that can be rekindled if she is with her family again. This is perfectly symbolized with the two sides of the moon, which is something that comes up symbolically often in the episode. Right now we see that everything's in perfect harmony. It's a you know, half and half moon, you would say. The light and the dark. Very similar to Ginkgo a little bit too. It's perfectly in balance. The mountain hasn't crushed her humanity, and the humanity hasn't overtaken her purpose. Like, that's still just teetering. It's a battle. It's a tug of war. It could go either way. And just skipping ahead slightly too to show you that I'm not entirely crazy. After her little stint, you know, being a human, being dressed in these clothes again, and just existing like she would have existed without this role. The moon is a bit more of a crescent shape. You know, there's just a little bit of light left there, as opposed to the full 50-50 we saw before when things were in balance. This is when things are out of whack, you know. I was trying to make some connection there, maybe with the moon and her own, like, femininity, which has been a large piece of symbolism that I've played with in the past, but I can't see anything particularly pertinent there. Maybe it is a little bit more involved with the mochi as well, which is a similar white color and circular. And of course, if it was a little bit more of a coastal setting, we could play with that in the waves, but not really what we're doing. Do you think the wolves were interesting, though? Wolves in the moon? That's... within you are two wolves? I don't know. Something. You can do whatever you want on this show, I don't know. The wolves as well? Like, she's got raised by wolves vibes, too. Yeah, there's something there. And that smell, that sense, reminding her of her childhood way back when, you know? This is me when I was sick and he's handing me a little tasty snack. It brings me, you know, exactly back to an experience from my past that connected me to my family, to humanity. Him vowing to never let her be lonely again and to let her be lost like she was, gives her a favorite snack. It's pretty convincing. I could see why she sticks around. Lonely's an interesting word, and we'll talk about that with Ginkgo later. Like, I'm not going to let you separate and do your role for the greater good if it means you're going to be lonely. Well, what is Ginkgo? You know, he doesn't have anyone traveling with him. I don't think he can. Like this moment here, too, with the little brother. Just seeing my younger sibling, you know, could have been a connection here if I didn't, you know, have this other thing going on. She seems awestruck at seeing him. I don't know, this is something... The beauty of just seeing a little kid, just a baby. Very pure. Great choice of things that we do in this montage very quickly. Like the yukata's a great touch too. Just, you know, nice bit of clothing that we've bought for you. We even have something that fits her. It's like we almost, you know, thought that she was always going to come back. The aforementioned little brother as well, and the mochi. It all comes together to create something like compelling for her to want to stay and to, you know, relinquish that duty. And then the other side, a fog rolls through. People are getting lost more and more. More weeds in the mountains, more overgrowth, a darkness is seeping in too. The whole thing's gone wonky. It feels bad. Nobody's in this seat anymore and the mountain is suffering. Ginkgo here very quickly on the case too. He's like, something's up here. He overhears that Kaya's back in town. Okay, I understand now. But hey, I'm up on the mountain too. Mountain is suffering. I do like these vines here. They remind me of the bell droplet kind of vines later on too. But they're twisted and a little bit weird. It's not right. I like this small connection too. Remember that echo? We yell out into the abyss and we hear the echo from the other side. Once again, the subbing very good there, and the audio design. Again, just nature and things that we've taken for granted are all out of whack. You know, logic would tell you if I'm yelling this way, it would echo out this way, but that's not what's happening. The world's fucked if somebody doesn't sit in this chair. There's something very primal about it. It's like a big old miasma of just like a life struggling with nobody at the very top. It feels like anarchy. It feels like fucking chaos. We need a figurehead at the top to keep all things in balance. Otherwise, you know, some things are going to, you know, take that power vacuum. They might not be good things. That's what I was maybe thinking when I saw, you know, these snake-like fog dudes. You know, we see him a little bit more later on too. It reminded me of the white snake from that previous episode that kind of just jumped in right in time and took that spot. And it was kind of a feel-bad ending. Like, it doesn't feel like that's what we're supposed to do there. That's when Kaya has a bit of a dream, meets with the council, meets with the banquet, who basically tell her to get the fuck up and get back into your job. Go back to work, bum. Which she promptly does and lies down on this rock over here. You know, as you do. That's what my workday looks like. And upon Kaya returning to that role, everything's instantly back to normal. But again, it feels like she's just doing her duty. All a lord does is obey. Doesn't feel like freedom. Doesn't feel like humanity to me. She has this sucky dead-end job that she has to keep on going back to that prevents her from, you know, laughing and smiling and everything else. She's obviously opened up more after her experience too. She's actually talking with Ginkgo, conversing like a human with his human side, a little bit more soft-spoken as opposed to the begons from before and whatnot. And in the wake of that, there's a melancholy for Kaya. It seems that, again, I'm right back where I was before, doing the thing that I always did, kind of because I have to. I have been chosen They forced me. The circle of light. But Ginkgo gives her some joy here, a little bit of praise. I'm happy to have met you. You're a, lord of a mountain. You're a guardian that is in the shape of a human. Sometimes it feels like us humans are too separate from everything else going on in the natural order of things. From mushi and bugs and animals and plants and everything, sometimes it feels like we grow distant. But seeing you here, participating in your role, in the circle of life, it brings me great joy. It means that Ginkgo himself, who he sees a lot of himself in you, he himself finds solace in that. He thinks that he also has a place to belong because of your presence and because of what you're doing. So it might not be, any consolation for you, but you have brought joy to this sicko at least. We go back and tell Yoshiro here he is devastated, learning that Kaya has to go back to her role on the mountain, basically thinking, why us? Why was she chosen? Why did it have to be her? Is there really nothing we can do to change this? Is this really what the grand scheme of things had lined up for us? It would be best if you just forgot about her. Well, I can't. She's my little sister. She's family. She's a human. I can't forget about her, And it seems that this experience has rubbed off on Kaya as well, who can't fully integrate back into what she was doing. She's had a little bit of a taste of, what we're providing, and she wants more. Her heart isn't fully in the role of a guardian anymore, and chaos ensues because of it. Again, Ginkgo's seeing all of this. Ginkgo's seeing this devastation, and he's like, you're right. It isn't fair. It isn't fair at all. All I'm doing is providing evidence for why Ginkgo is as self-sacrificey as he is by the very end, We do leave him here with the concept of, keep her in your thoughts. She is holding the mountain up. Everything that you see in nature is also part of her. Take solace in that. That comes back as a stronger moral by the very end and, her death, basically. Like, hey, at least we can remember her by leaving out her favorite snack, that link that she had to humanity, but also, appreciating the rest of nature, which she held up for a time, Yoshiro is still holding out hope, leaving out little snacks, being a good big brother. Maybe this is still part of the reason why, again, she can't let go. She finds these and eats these, and it makes her sad. Makes her sad of the missed opportunity, of what I could be doing down there with everybody else. And despite the mountain being in harmony right now, things take a turn for the worse and get chaotic because of it. Because she's still thinking about over there. She wants to go back. All of that leading to a time skip. Ginkgo rolling back through and being like, what the fuck is going on here? What has happened since I've been away? Everything's in turmoil. Nothing's working like it should. It is like when she was missing. The Mushi are just roaming free, doing fucking whatever. The river has a bit more of a gold tinge to it. The health of us down in the village is suffering as well. Much like the villagers going missing that we saw in the montage there before. Our little brother, he's worse for wear because of these changes to the environment. And yeah, Ginkgo here is pretty sure he knows what happened. Let me go up and see how she's doing, how she's coping after coming back to the job after the time off. Instead, Kaya finds Yoshiro first, gives him a little melancholic smile before rushing away on the wind. Again, I'm not to see you, but I have. I can't help but steal glimpses and whatever else. It does make me wonder if I would feel strongly about the connection here between these two characters if it was framed romantically. Obviously with them not being brother and sister anymore. But what if, again, their ages were a bit more similar, like you age down Yoshiro and it's a romantic thing? How does that make me feel about it? Probably stronger. But we are trying to say something about family and reflect it with Ginkgo and his lack of family and linking back to, his origins there. I don't know. I guess I don't have a little sister, so it's hard to relate, I guess, on the level the show wants me to. I just kind of, put in family as a concept overall instead. Which again is ultimately the point. That's probably also metaphorically the banquet we see later on. That's her family on the other side, or whatever else. Ginkgo finds Kaya and hears it from the horse's mouth that she no longer connects with the mountain the way that she used to. Something has changed within her since her experience with her family. She can't fully immerse herself into the role like previous. Because of that, it's just like she's missing, like it was before. So why are you up here suffering if the mountain itself has almost rejected you as well? And because of that, she's sure that her successor will be chosen soon. And what happens there is the old boss dies. They can't get. They're out of here. Which again maybe informs why she's stealing last glances at her family and whatnot and looking over. She feels that her time is near and maybe just wants to see them one more time. And again, this is perfectly consistent with a number of things. She is to be consumed the same way that we saw the old man be consumed by the snake. I think that's how it ended up going. And again, the snake became the de facto guardian and whatever else. I think that's what ended up happening there. Anyway, and of course Ginkgo's obsession with not letting people resign, to their own deaths, to their own sacrifice, that's been present in many, many episodes. Of course he's going to look for another way that you can continue to live, that you're not just resigned to your fate to die as your successor is chosen. Like, Ginkgo's okay with separating the family and you being Mountain Guardian over here, and you being family over here, as long as both parties continue to live. It's his one wood. It's what he wants to happen, So again, as soon as he learns the death's on the agenda, he uses everything in his power to stop it. It's a cruel fate. All you ever did was yearn for your family. But you've been chosen for this. Once again, all justification for why Ginkgo then wants to sacrifice himself in her stead. Because she's just like me. All I ever did was yearn for family as well. Does that mean ultimately I'm going to be judged for that? And at least she has a family to go back to. I don't have anybody, at least blood-related, that I would want to be with. So, you continue to live, I'll take the bullet. And yeah, yearning for your family as this thing that all humans do. It's almost like a fuck-up of the people above us that chose you for this role, thinking you were ready for it, not knowing that humans have the capacity for this. To yearn to be with their own. Stronger than Mushi, stronger than animals, stronger than plants, stronger than all other life. So why us? Why were we chosen? So again, let me go take this thing out of here and we'll go consult with them. And then some good Mushi stuff here too. Again, it's a race against time. Let me brew this potion, get this thing to come out of you, and if we do it before the bell droplets fall, before those plants bear fruit, then you may have a normal human life upcoming. Something that brings her to tears. It's clearly something that she wants deep down. But yeah, going into action there, making the potion, doing all that kind of stuff. It's kind of the last hurrah of, that Ginkgo on the job site type stuff, like the operation of him being a Mushishi. It's just as cool and mysterious as it was the first time we saw it. It even is a Mushi purge, something that we've seen previously as well, and causes this part of her to, evacuate from the body. Turns into this big clump of CG moving vines. It reminds me of a lot of the really good CG work that we've seen throughout the show as well. Specifically, when Ginkgo's playing Pied Piper. Remember that? There's the little... It's the episode I don't like. Now I remember. Yeah. But the CG was really good in it, for sure. It feels very similar to that effect. But yeah, this thing itself lets him convene with the Lord of the Mountain. But we're going to convene in person. This really feels like Ginkgo's been chosen for sacrifice as well. Eye for an eye and all that. If you want her life to be spared, we're going to need to take somebody's in her stead, We can't generate a new Mountain Guardian off fucking nothing, I'll need to get up the specific episode. It's one with the Komyaku, and there's a light, and it joins this circle of lights. This feels all very familiar to me. As obviously connecting to the first episode of both Season 1 and Season 2. Season 1 starts with a banquet, Season 2 starts with a banquet. This is all, very contiguous, circular, seasonal stuff. Yeah, so this here is the episode I'm talking about, and it's actually super duper relevant. Look at it. It's literally the concepts we've just been talking about. You could almost reframe Ginkgo's actions in that final episode that we watched as being informed by this. He almost sees a family and a connection, and the only possible connection that he can have as Ginkgo upon going into the light, going into the river, and connecting with that circle, This is what he wants, ultimately. This is his temptation. It is only through the assistance of Kaya that he continues on his journey and keeps on living as a human and doesn't fall for this again, And as we say here at the very end, there's the ending line of the episode, basically, which is hey, Ginkgo, you fucked up, fuck off, but never feel like you don't belong anywhere, That's definitely resonating within him by the end of the episode, you know. It must have been such a temptation just to let himself be taken, because again, that's the only way he is going to find community. In the same way in our episode, Kaya is rejecting her role, Ginkgo taking this quote-unquote easy way out would also be him relinquishing his. I've been assigned to do this thing. This is my origin, this is my lot in life, I'm going to keep on doing it, you know. Probably connect that all the way back to all of our River of Light type stuff. Episode 2, protecting that river, making sure that people don't go into it, making sure they live on as humans instead. Look for the light, do not take the darkness, though the darkness may be tempting. Yeah, definitely something to consider. This episode here, Cushion of Grass, consider it in contrast and in combination with bell droplets at the very end. Something I really like about this presence here as well is they all are individuals, but it's not. It's like an amalgam. Like they all speak with the same voice. There's no conversation. Their word is absolute. They're all identical to one another. It's the antithesis of the family that we see on the other side. This one feels like, you know, just a little bit more uniform and just kind of like a life proliferating, rather than, again, a special connection formed by humans. If you are to join this circle here, it may feel like a family, but it's not. It doesn't have that same juice. Again, just with that same voice having a conversation with itself. Doesn't feel right there. And Ginkgo stands up and explains his side of the equation. That's right, you shouldn't have made a human the guardian here. That was your mistake. You can have the Lord's power back, spare her life. Not only do humans possess the strange wisdom you speak of, but they also have hearts. And that's what separates them from everything else. And even if hearts are broken down to, you know, make the foundation of the mountain, even the dimmest of lights can revive them. It is fraught. It is chaotic by nature. It's not a good logical decision as well as being, you know, emotionally manipulative. That's what makes humans frail, incapable of fully becoming mountain lords. And even though this has worked in the past, okay, we believe you, Ginkgo. Humans never going to, you know, give birth to a lord again. No one ever that is a human will be chosen for such a role. I don't know if that's just here. I don't know if that's everywhere. Doesn't really matter. The show's over. However, consequently, humans will become deaf to the mountain's voice. They'll lose their connection to nature, which then Ginkgo bites back here and says, no, I mean, they won't. I trust that they won't. The rest of the show has been evidence towards this. I've seen time and time again humans be in harmony and in sync with nature. It'll continue to be a thing, even if we aren't chosen as Lords of the Mountain. Now, I do take pause here a little bit. It feels a bit like having our cake and eating it too. Sometimes it feels like, you know, humans are special, but I guess they are too. I don't know. If you're going to live off the mountain and everything that it gives you, then you've got to give back at least a little bit too. And maybe, again, taking that role as Lord once in a while is giving back. And it sucks that only one human is chosen to do that, but, you know, somebody's got to be chosen. I don't know, just a little bit of devil's advocate there, maybe. And then basically it turns into, hey, who's going to sacrifice themselves so we can make this happen? Ginkgo or Kaya? And Ginkgo's based here. He says he came prepared to sacrifice himself and kind of lets it happen. He's fully prepared to go here, man. Shoutouts to Ginkgo. And something really significant there, too, of him being taken in by the dark once more. Very similar to his origins in that One-Eyed Fish episode. His whole character design being that contrast between dark and light, too. He himself sacrificing that human side, that light, to be this role, and for somebody else's light to shine even more. Very, very heroic. But also, I think, comes from a self-esteem issue. He sees himself as lesser. Because, again, I can't form these familial connections which Kaya has with her family, you know? Seeing a lot of Araragi in this, like, he and his self-sacrifice stuff comes from a low self-esteem base. Or, again, in Monogatari, that isn't the answer. Like, we repeatedly say that it's a character flaw for him. Like, it's not something that we should continue to do, and he needs to pick himself back up. It's both a blessing and a curse, I guess you could say. I don't know. That's more about Monogatari, though. But I feel similarly here. And then, yeah, Kaya steps in. She's like, nah, I was chosen. It's my role. It's between the mountain and me. I don't want you to sacrifice yourself in my stead. You did nothing wrong. You shouldn't have to go, Kaya. But I've always been one with the mountain. It's only right that I return to it. And once again, I think the important decision for her already happened. you know, or it was kind of made for her too, based on her emotional state, splitting hairs. But she chose, deep down she chose not to be that mountain guardian anymore and embrace her humanity. That means that if she is to sacrifice herself now to get things to, you know, keep going again, she must retain her humanity. It's the thing that she wants to hold on to, which ultimately ends in her death. That's how strong her love was for everybody else, you know, and how much she didn't want to let that side of her go. Once again, just noble. Such a noble character. I think what Ginkgo wanted to happen was for you to just release that side of yourself and become non-human and be the foundation of the mountain. But she couldn't. But Ginkgo was also willing to sacrifice himself so that she could. He's definitely conflicted on this, for sure. Just very, very fascinating, lovely montage of nature here during this moment as well. I really want to see somebody else's take on it too. I'd love to hear more. And it's that line there too. It's that, you know, you shouldn't have to sacrifice yourself. She thinks, no, I've lived innumerable lives and I don't see this as sacrificing myself. I just see it as ceasing to be me. You know, which again must resonate with Ginkgo, somebody that ceased to be himself in the past too. There's always the hope for rebirth too. Maybe what lies for Kaya on the other side is a similar arrangement to Ginkgo as well. Who can say? Then the episode's namesake comes back, those bell droplets. They fall. They're very pretty. They're like Komyaku. They're like the River of Light. They're like Koki. It's all very pretty. Makes the episode feel full circle too. Very, very well done. And as Yoshiro says here, he feels a bit more melancholic about this one. It feels like the mountain is also crying as well as celebrating. It's both death and rebirth. And yeah, we see that Koki fall onto the mountain as well, making everything all right again. Connecting to water, connecting to rain, all these Mushishi concepts we've seen time and time again. Once again, just very good in summary of the season, of the show. So Ginkgo's a little bit defeated in the wake of that as well. Says that he needs to get going. He's like, where am I anyway? He's like, oh, okay, I'm here in this familiar place that I've basically always been. Beyond the other eyelid. Just smart. Just very, very smart, of course. Him taking like pleasure and solace in the Komyaku as well. Needing to look away, but also protecting others from flowing back into it. It feels very similar to episode 2 in that regard, but almost the inverse. He wasn't able to stop a child from dissolving themselves into the river and then becoming part of the amalgam, the conglomerate. Mixed feelings here for Ginkgo, of course, but some solace, some comfort. This river of light, this thing that's connected so many things in the show, it still resonates here even now. It's the same as it ever was, and it's the same as it's always going to be. It's a great ending note for the episode as well. Love a sunrise here as well. Obviously the sun coming out at the end of the night to illuminate the darkness. Very resonant for Ginkgo and his theming as well. Obviously, again, I was tying that into you know, Tanyu and the other guy and all that other shit too. So it's all there. Great job. And ending our little Yoshiro arc here with him leaving out some mochi for Kaya, remarking to his little brother that she is now everywhere. She's everything on this mountain. She's the place that we live and that we draw strength from. She's the reason why you're all better, my little brother, my little friend, you know. Thank you to my sister. Ending the episode proper here is a montage of nature. Very pretty. Love the fades. Think that's all very nice and apt and stuff. What I really like is the vocal here. It's like this multi-track, multi-layered vocal of both Kaya and Nui. It speaks to a connection between those two characters that have both sacrificed themselves in essence in front of Ginkgo. And both of them talking about very Mushishi concepts, very circle of life type stuff. It just hits very resonantly. Must be hitting for Ginkgo too, reminding him of his own mother, one of his mothers, you would say. We are all creatures within a system, bound by this arrangement of nature. Humans should abide by that into the future. Almost a very environmentalist message there too, of course. It's just peak. It's very, very well done, very, very well paced and whatnot as well. And just a little bit of a something here at the end. Just Ginkgo saying what's next, following that path into the great unknown. Who knows what's next? We don't. Show's over. But life goes on. And isn't that the entire point? And one last thing. That's just very sad. Where we kind of go from, you know, that next time on to nothing. There is no next time on. That really hit. That hit actually more than I thought it would. Just the absence of something expected. Very meta as well. Good moment, very good moment. And then we have it again, the tier list. I have the episode kind of up there in the corner. If you wanted to follow along and know, we started with episode 27, Banquet at Forest's Edge, of course. Thought this one was so-so. It's okay. It's a good reintroduction. I like the banquet concept. It's just a little bit on the frivolous side for mine compared to some other episodes. In comparison, I thought that episode 28 hit a fair bit harder. Really great scene there at the very end with all the seashells and whatnot. Just, you know, I thought the story there was good. I like his reintegration into the village. Thought that was all very well done. Next up here, Beneath the Snow. A bit of a sad old one too. Just, yeah, a bit depressing. Like his little sister dies and then he sleeps on the bottom of the lake for a bit, and I saw it as an allegory for depression for sure. Once again, an episode that I did love quite a bit. It's a bit depressing, but you know, it tells a good story for sure. Next up, The Hand That Caresses in the Night. This one's like scary. Once again, some really standout visual moments in it as well. Like that brother becoming more and more corrupted as it went on. Liked the story there, thought it stood out as a point of difference. Well done. Mirror Lake, very good. Very, very good. Remember, it's about the girl, she wants to date the guy, and she meets up with that, like, scumbag, but, you know, it's that... Once again, these episodes grew so much for me upon analyzing them, for sure. That's definitely one of them, too. I think I ultimately end up putting it there, though. It feels... Yeah, frivolous isn't the... It's not the right word, because it's not fair, but... You know, just some episodes definitely hit harder for mine. Like Floral Delusion. That's a favorite, for sure. A scary, genuinely scary episode for mine. In the same way that I quote-unquote called Mirror Lake frivolous, this episode is not. Talks to what makes humans humans, and how much should we control another human like that, and... There's a great sense of foreboding and mystery to the episode. I think it erupts in a climax in a great way, but with that kind of cherry blossom disappearing at the very end as that, you know, as she's finally freed, as that tree goes away. Just very well done. Great episode. Next up here, Cloudless Rain. It was pretty good. Once again, I like the allegory there within it. I think Ginkgo relates to somebody that can't stay in one spot too long. He definitely gets interested there for his own personal reasons. And yeah, has a nice conclusion there as well. Once again, connecting to Rain. Show loves to do that. I think I've said my piece on Windrazor. I think it's the worst episode of the show. The one that's the most fraught. The one that could have been executed better. That kind of struggles to make me care about the characters. And has a really, really bad shit out of nowhere kind of ending, in my view. The Valley of Welling Tides. Ginkgo fucking breaks his leg and... Can gets nursed back to health by that family there. We discover that old mate has, like, super strength, and he never sleeps, and he keeps on hoeing. The garden, that is. And it's this great thing of him taking the energy given to him by his mother and channeling that into, you know, creating the best life for the rest of his family. I don't think we fall in a place of judging it one way or the other either. It isn't good that he's working himself to death, literally, but if it provides more for his family and lets him carry on the legacy of his mother in that way as well, she sacrificed so much, literally her own life to make, you know, her son better. Like, I don't know, it's cyclical, it's nice. Obviously, you shouldn't end up killing yourself through work, but, you know... Swings and roundabouts. Thought it was an interesting ethical episode, for sure. It tells a good story. A little bit of a contentious one, Depths of Winter. I probably fell on the side of not liking it. It's just a bit of a so-so episode. But I mean, if I am ranking the tiers, I'm probably putting it like up here. Its biggest crime is just being kind of slow. I don't know, there's worse things you can do. And yeah, I could fully understand that being somebody's favorite episode as well. Next up, Path of Thorns, the two-parter. I thought it was quite well done. I'm going to end up putting it in this tier. Whenever we've done a two-parter, I think it has been quite good. Kind of reminds me, is Thingo on this list? The light that blocks out the sun or whatever the hell? Maybe I'm blind. I don't know if I see it. Weird. I'd put it pretty high. I ended up liking that one quite a bit. But yeah, Kumado, that's his name. I've been struggling for that one. Yeah, his ability at the very end is very cool. I like how he stands in contrast to both Tanyu and Ginkgo. I believe all three characters' investment there. The duty of this family getting in the way, him losing his humanity through that. That almost relating a lot to the stuff we do here in the finale as well. Very well done. Next up here, Cushion of Grass. This is the one with a young Ginkgo learning a thing or two, taken in by Suguro. He makes a mistake that is irreversible and gets judged accordingly, but basically told that there's never anywhere where he doesn't belong, and that was all very sweet too. We'll end up putting that there, I think. Do have some misgivings about it. I think that Suguro probably could have been developed more as a character, and maybe as a foil for Ginkgo learning some more Mushi stuff, but them's the breaks. A fan favorite, I would imagine, Fragrant Darkness. It's that big old time travel deja vu type, roundabout. Thought it was very, very well done. I'm going to put it up in favorite. I've come around to really, really love that episode. Just tells a great story more than anything else. Just really, really damn good. Lingering Crimson in a lot of ways is very similar. It is in essence time travel in a way. Once again, I think the 40 and 41 here, just compelling stories, man. That's the thing that they mostly have going for them. Just good characters, good motivations. I like, what's her name again? Kage something? Yeah, great character. I liked her arc during it. Hidden Cove. I thought this one was alright. I saw it as a pretty clear allegory for online relationships and not making actual human connections. I thought the canal work there was smart in getting across that metaphor. I like how blindingly obvious the solution is at the end. Like, why don't you two just go meet each other? I was endeared to the characters in it. Good episode. Thread of Light. This was about the kid that was like 10 times stronger than everybody else, and his mum knit him a little sweater. Similar to episode 42, the solution is pretty obvious. Like, once everybody knows all the information and we can figure out what's going on, it instantly just clicks and it's fine, and we can be a happy family. We get a little bit muddled in some of the writing there too. I'm going to end up still putting it here. I ultimately just think it's interesting enough to carry it, but probably the bottom of this tier you would end up saying, very almost in this one. Sea of Otherworldly Stars going in the top tier, basically entirely predicated on its ending, which I think is a masterpiece. I think it's so good. Just the Mushi being framed as this terrible force, through this episode, in my view, as this thing that's taken this daughter away. But then the melancholy of severing that connection at the very end just hit me so very hard. Also, just like a Ghost House. It was a cool Ghost House episode too, so we'll take it. Keeping the hot streak going, fuck it, I'm putting Azure Waters in here too. Heartbreaking. What a heartbreaking episode, man. Just, whichever way you want to analyze it, it's a terrible situation, and God, it hit me. That episode hit me for sure, as did, very obviously, the following episode, Lightning's End, another one that is basically entirely up here because of its ending. I feel like it all just came together so very well. It was resonant, it was unique, it was fresh. I like that they both separated from one another. I love the allegory of the Mushi in this one and how it represented parenthood in my view. These are all very recent now. You can, I'm pretty sure you remember my thoughts on them. Just very, very hot on them. Mudgrass, I think top of this tier. Not quite as strong as the other ones, in my view. And yeah, it's the top of that tier. I'm not putting it up there. But again, just entirely predicated on how the kind of reveals of the story go. They're just good tales, man, and they stand the test of time. Fuck it, I'm putting it up here. Just the judgment at the very end is so cool too. I love the Mushi in this episode. I think it's fucking rad. Is there maybe a trend in the show towards these last few episodes where they're all really, really damn good, and some of my favorites in it? As we end here for the TV anime stuff with Tree of Eternity, another top tier episode. I'd probably put it at the bottom though, not quite as strong as this run, but still very good. I like it's a twist on a prototypical environmentalism episode too. I just, thought it was smart. It was apt. I liked the guy's arc in it. I liked the tree's arc in it. The visuals are very good. Love the striking red of the leaves. Just great. And lastly here, Bell Droplets. I think I'm going to end up landing here on it. Of course, I spoke about it for like an hour, so it must be pretty good, but just ultimately a little bit too slow to put it up with the rest of my favorites. But a solid ending, very smart, very classy, like a lot of Mushishi is, and life goes on from there, you would say. In summary, Mushishi, very, very good show, obviously, I think. I've struggled sometimes to turn it into content, and that's not the show's fault. I think if I was watching this by myself without needing to make a video on it every week, then I probably would have ended up liking it some more too. However, the rewatches were fruitful, and always fruitful. Like, I always saw more in the rewatch there. I would fully, wholeheartedly recommend the show. I think Season 2 is markedly better than Season 1. I think the best episode in it is somewhere in that last stretch. If I get back up my little tier list. Shit, best episode in it. Hang on, let me try that for you. It's with these ones, I think. In the top tier, obviously. One-Eyed Fish is obviously great. I believe this one here is the one with the Mountain Lord and whatnot. Very good too. Episode 4 is an early highlight. I think I'm still landing very, very high on it. But in my heart of hearts, shit. Lightning's End? Maybe? Is that crazy to say? Episode 40 here, very strong too. Love that time loop stuff, of course. These two are fucked up too. I love a fucked up episode. Yeah, just... let's say it's Lightning's End. It's the one that made me feel the most passionate and the one that fucking... it rocked my heart ever so. So yeah, let's say it's that. But yeah, show's great. Obviously, you watched the series of me reacting to it. You agree. What is next? Next is movies. I don't know what they are yet, but I do. You'll see next week. I don't want to tell you right now. Shut up. I know what most of them are. I'll put it that way. And yeah, we're closing out. Thank you for watching Mushishi with me and everything. It's been a blast. It's been very insightful and calming and everything else. I feel a different person now that I've watched it. But yeah, like the video, subscribe, Patreon, all that other normal kind of stuff. I'll see you on the flip side. Thank you for watching along with me. Ciao. Bye-bye.